Folks, there is a hidden history that has been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world, and that's why we are on the trail of the Nephilim. Today I'll be talking about a conversation that I had with two Navajo elders. I'll be getting into that. I think you'll find it fascinating. Why? Because they all know about the giants. And in that interview, we talked about the giants that once roamed on what is now the Navajo reservation. We'll get into that and so much more after a word from our sponsor. Friends, the coming year is likely to bring more painful surprises. Oh my gosh, let's hope not. Are you ready? Do you have a plan in case of food shortages, power outages, emergency evacuations? Folks, think of the people in Kentucky. What about mandates? You should always prepare before these things strike. That's why, right here, we recommend emergency food from My Patriot Supply. They're America's #1 preparedness company with several million happy, well-prepared customers. Folks, we have it right here. We've got 6 canisters here, and I think 4 or 5 out in the Santa Monica Mountains. Their food, My Patriot Supply's food, lasts up to 25 years in storage. It's like survival insurance. Policy you can eat. When you need it, it will be there. Right now, you'll save $100 on a 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. This kit can get you through any difficulties ahead. You get breakfast, lunch, dinner, 11 C's, and drinks, averaging over 2,000 calories a day. These food kits from My Patriot Supply are selling fast, so hurry and act. Please, folks, check it out. Go to preparewithla.com and save $100 on your first 3-month food kit. That's preparewithla.com. To avoid what happens after disasters strike, act now. Just think of the people in Kentucky. Think of what happened to us after the fire. Please go preparewithla.com. That's preparewithla.com. Folks, thanks so much for watching here on YouTube. We had 2.8 million views last year, or I should say 2021. It's still 2021. I want to thank you all for coming here. If you want politics, prophecy, and the supernatural report uncensored, you've got to go to Rumble, Bitchute, or Roku. Those links are in the chat box down below, the text box down below. Just real quick before I move on, the most viewed was UFO Disclosure, The Coming Great Deception, and the Luciferian Endgame. We are in part 2. That's going to be released hopefully by the end of the month of January. We'll see what happens. We're on it. We're starting to edit it. And it will be my sit-down interview with Francisco Carrera, who was our producer and guide over in Europe, Portugal, Spain, France, the UK. Really close friend, good friend. But Francisco is also head of Exopolitics Portugal. And the two of us sat down and had this meeting of the minds, as it were. And it's a great interview, and I think you'll find that fascinating. Combined with that is my sit down with Preston Dennett. Preston is an author, researcher, been doing this as long as I have, lives in Los Angeles, and so we combine the two together. I think you'll find it really a fascinating romp. I'm working on the third one, which we're going to charge for because we need to. We need to make some sort of remuneration for our efforts, and that will be sitting down with people like Gary Stearman, Mondo Gonzalez, and others, Nick Pope, Nick Redford, George Norrie. A lot of these interviews are already on film, and I'm in the process of editing that. I think you'll find that fascinating. But I want to move into something today. I'm going to be reading from chapter 3. So here's the backstory. I'm at a conference, really not a conference. I was flown in by Pastor Curtis, who I consider a good friend, by the way. And Curtis grew up on the Navajo reservation. His father was also a pastor on the Navajo reservation. So I was under his covering. I was not prayed up. I did not know that there were forces working against me. There were forces working against me. The medicine men, many of them, who still practice their dark arts, by the way, this has been unbroken for thousands of years. Thousands of years. In fact, I sat down with Jimmy Etzetti, who became a pastor, and he gave me this incredible view of what many white folk never get to hear, what happened to him, how he's being trained to become a medicine man. And in order to get the power, what he had to do is he had to kill a family member. He couldn't do that. And so he fled the reservation, did some alcohol abuse, and finally came to the Lord, became a pastor. Wonderful man, wonderful man. And I think the film got burnt in the fire. I think that never made it out. I don't know. I've never been able to find it. But we did an interview with him, and it was a fascinating interview. But anyway, so I'm there, and I'm talking to probably about 30 people in the room in this little church in Farmington. And I realized that this wasn't about, Peggy and I making bank for the weekend. That wasn't going to happen. This was about ministering to these people, giving away stuff, and learning, and just sitting and learning. And as I taught, I sat down with these two Navajo elders, and I was in school, and I found it very interesting. And I'll read some of the transcript so you can get an idea of what we were up against. So before I left there, the Navajo Indian Reservation, I was struck down. And this has happened also in France at Karnak, exactly the same thing. The enemy knows our weakness, okay? He knows what our weaknesses are physically, and he can go in there and mess with stuff, which is what he did to me, both at Farmington and also when we were over in Karnak, France, filming over there, which, by the way, that site is totally mind-blowing. We've never done anything with the footage. COVID, the rebuild of the house has put everything back, but now we're back on the trail, and we are in full-blown edit mode, so hang on to your hats, folks. So the bottom line is, when I was talking to these people, I was already coming down with the malady. I wasn't like 100%, but I began to ask questions, and we'll go over this right now. So, and getting back to the oral tradition, I remember hearing stories from my grandmother who came from Italy. This is me asking her. Her parents and grandparents told her stories that they had heard, that some of these stories could go back hundreds of years. Tell us your story. What is it your grandmother or your mother who told you? Was it your grandmother or your mother who told you the stories? And the Navajo elder. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and during the summer, the grandmother would be talking about her childhood and her teenage years. During the winter, she told us other stories, but this one was about twin brothers who went looking for their father. They found out their father was the sun. They had a hard time getting to it. There were too many obstacles to get to it. In those days, they were terrorized by giants, big people, and they were eating people. L.A. So the giants were cannibals. Navajo elder, they were cannibals. She didn't mention anything about 6 fingers or 6 toes. L.A. Nothing like that. When you say giants, did your family tell you how big these people might have been? Navajo elder, no. She said the Navajo word for giants is Yaitza. That's all she said, which means giants, my question. The elder, giants, yeah. What does Yaitza mean? People that terrorize people. Pretty amazing. Did she ever say what happened to them, why they disappeared? The elder, they kill a lot of monsters. The twins went on a mission to find their father. They wanted to, so they encountered these other monsters, something like a spider to help them. L.A., spider women? Elder, with weapons and things like that, they killed the other monsters. They had Navajo names. When I went to school, there were names, and they didn't go into depth about the names, how the twin brothers killed all the monsters. It did mention that there were giants in the land, and people were hiding. So I'm just going to leave it right there. Hopefully that whets your appetite. So much information from this sit down with this woman and her husband. Both of them were Navajo elders. Both of them were Christians, which of course was really interesting to me. But you know what, folks? There is a hidden history. And before I move on to the UFO report, and I think you'll find this interesting too, what amazes me is that the old school of anthropology discounted all of the oral tradition. They wouldn't even listen to it. Oh, it's all superstition. Oh, it's this, it's that, it's the other thing. But I get that. But in some of those tales, there is truth there. The giants did roam the land. They were all over the Americas, from America's Stonehenge to Catalina Island. Have they ever found large skeletons? They did. Up in that area, up around New England, New Hampshire, they found larger skeletons. But we discovered that 9-footer on Catalina. And that's also in our On the Trail of the Nephilim series. There it is, 1 through 7. You can avail yourself of what I think is incredible information. Binge watch them. Heck, the weekend's coming up. Check it out. Go to streaming.lamarzulli.net. Streaming.lamarzulli.net. Moving right along to our UFO update. This came, the clip I'm going to show you came from a, basically like a security camera. And I'll weigh in on that, but I'm going to circle back to something that we talked about yesterday. NASA enlists priests to assess how the world would react to alien life. You got to understand, by the way, my inbox lit up yesterday with people sending me the link, la@lamarzulli.net. If you've got UFO footage, an encounter, if you've been taken, if you've been abducted, shoot me an email, la@lamarzulli.net. So NASA, I mean, this becomes, look, this is the way it works. Do you think NASA broadcasts what they're going to do? Of course not. So it's, first of all, it's a deliberate leak to the media. Hey, by the way, we're enlisting priests to see how the world might react to alien life out there, to a gray, to when they actually show up. Now, how does that work? Who picks up the phone and calls a media outlet and goes, yeah, we got a little story here where we've enlisted a bunch of theologians and priests to assess how the world might react to alien life. I want you to run with that next Tuesday, okay, Al? And Al, of course, obliges, and there it is. It's by Alicia Powell. So there, need I say more, right? That's how the game is played. NASA taps theologians to assess how humans will react if life is found on other planets. So they're rolling this out as a managed agenda. It's totally deliberate. Totally deliberate. They already know exactly what's going to happen. And you want to know what's going to happen, in my opinion? It's one big nothing burger. Why? Because no one cares. We've been so inundated with Star Trek and Star Wars and the plethora of UFO movies and films and, you know, extraterrestrial lights and ET and all this stuff. Everybody's been conditioned. I remember when I saw the movie ET, I was a brand new Christian, all right? Pretty sure I was a brand new Christian, right around 1980. So when I came to faith, came to the Lord. And I'm sitting in the theater. I was with my friend, Mark at the time, and the part where, you know, E.T. goes home and there's a separation, the whole theater, I look around, everybody's crying. The whole theater is sobbing. And I'm sitting there going like, these people have drunk the Kool-Aid. What? I'm not getting the same reaction here at all. This is, in my opinion, although I really couldn't articulate it, but this looked like conditioning to me. Have you ever gotten to a theater? Sure you have. And you know what you see? Next time you're in a movie theater, we don't go anymore because it's all, for the most part, it is what it is, okay? I won't blast Hollywood, but give me a break, right? Who needs it? So anyway, although I heard Spider-Man, the new movie, is really good, but I digress. So John Adams giving me the look there. So here's the deal. When you go to a theater, this is what everybody does. I mean, you want to talk about hypnosis? I mean, are you serious? Right? Everybody's in this semi-catatonic state, staring at the screen. And you're being inundated with state-of-the-art sound. So it's not like it was 60 years ago where there's a couple of speakers up there. The sound shakes the whole room, for crying out loud. So that's what you're looking at. And NASA is deliberately rolling this out. Why? In my opinion, we are looking at the coming great deception and the Luciferian endgame. And isn't it interesting? My phone didn't ring. I wasn't tapped for one of the theologians. You know, by the way, I am Dr. Marzulli. I don't say that or use it that much, but I was presented an honorary doctorate from my mentor, Dr. I.D.E. Thomas, and I do use it on occasion. So I am Dr. L.A. Marzulli. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Jeeves? Anyway, so... You know, and it's a doctor of divinity. So there you go. I've been banging this drum, folks, for decades. This is the coming great deception, the Luciferian endgame. So I'll get right into this. This is from a security camera. You tell me what I'm looking at. I don't know. Could it be a bunch of helicopters in the air? Could be. Could they be doing drills, military installation? Could be. I don't know. There's just not enough information, even if you blow it up. There's certainly lights. They appear and may disappear. But the bottom line is that security camera is going blink, blink. So what is it, a 5-second, a 10-second delay between pictures? So without any further ado, let's get into that. So there's the security camera. And right here is where you get the first light. And I'll stop it there. So you can see that you see the one light, and then there's a whole bunch of lights. Let's go. And then they're gone. Oh. It's almost like it repeats, doesn't it? Look at it again. So I'm going to stop it here. It goes by really quick. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at. I find it odd that it happens twice. Different clusters. They appear, they disappear. Close encounters of the first kind. If you've got an opinion on that, please write me. la@lamarzulli.net, la@lamarzulli.net. This is complex. I don't know. I lean towards CE1, Close Encounters of the First Kind. So anyway, folks, check it out. Our free film, UFO Disclosure, The Coming Great Deception of Luciferian Endgame. What are you waiting for? It's free. Part 2 will be free. Part 3 will not be free, okay? So watch the first 2. Watch the first 2 for free once we get the second one up. But we've got, I think it's like between our YouTube channel and the YouTube channel for Prophecy Watchers, we're up around 200,000 views. It's really cool. This was the most viewed video on our YouTube channel. Please, let's make this thing go viral. Pass it forward. Pass it on. People need to see it. There's so much information in that film. So my exhortation to you is watch it and then pass it forward. Folks, thanks so much for watching On the Trail of a Nephilim and, of course, our daily UFO update. Once again, if you've got a footage, if you've got snapshots, if you've got video, if you've got a story, please shoot me an email at la@lamarzulli.net. If you have a mound on your property and you live in Ohio, I'm your new best friend, because we can come there and we can excavate that. We're allowed to excavate without a permit if it's on private property in Ohio. I've got a team of archaeologists, anthropologists. Chief Joseph Riverwind is our representative for First Nation people, optometrists, medical doctors, all sorts of people. We're ready to come. We've got a war chest, but we need the mound. Let us know. la@lamarzulli.net. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, we'll see you on the air or in the air.